Hello again, folks. So, there's a chance I spent more time last week putting together a new intro for my video than I did actually putting together a script for that video. And so I perhaps said some bold statements about hinges, stamp hinges in particular, that I may need to walk back just a bit. Hinges. Hinges are fantastic, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. I'm also going to reveal a great purchase I made at my first stamp fair in a while. That was fun. Ran into this guy. Yeah, go check him out. That's Smokey. We had a good laugh, and I picked up some cool stamps that I'm excited to look at. And so begins my tribute, my ode to the mighty stamp hinge. Stamp hinges are great. They really, truly are. And they were the cornerstone of the hobby for many years. And a hinge is something like that, which you take out of the container and they look a little bit like this. And you get one end moist and you get the other end moist and you get your stamp stuck into your album like so. And that is how stamps were put into collections for many, many years until, for the most part, we transitioned to mounts, which we use in albums like these. However, there is no reason not to use a stamp hinge on a used stamp. And I love to put used stamps into collections, and you absolutely can use a mount in that situation, like this person did, without any risk to the stamps whatsoever. Shout out to Rasdale Stamp Company. I had a nice time chatting with you. And yeah, so I got this collection. One Australian set out of Hinges stamp album. I was particularly excited to see the postage due. I do not have many postage dues, and there's some very nice cancels. And of course, the roos are always fun to have. Very, very nice. Ooh, I like that postmark a lot. Oh, that's beautiful. Very, very cool. And I might put some roos from here into my new album when I compile all my Australian stamps. And these will come off the page easily. I'll end up just running through with a straight edge little blade and cutting the hinges in half. And then if they don't peel off easily, like this one might not peel off easily, I can always soak it, or I can use stamp lift fluid like this, and you just get a very little bit on the back of the hinge remnant, and it should come right off. Hence why it's not a problem to hinge used stamps. The problem that you'll have, and that I have, and that I talked about in the last video, was when it comes to nice stamps with good gum on the back of them. Especially ones that I paid for. And when you spend $40, $50 on a stamp, you want to make sure it's well preserved. And so, for example, in this collection, the 3p new or unused are in mounts, and I'll be able to then go through and figure out what the status of the gum is if there was a hinge remnant. But that's the kind of stamp that I wouldn't want to use a hinge for. Because when you even when it's already had a light hinge on it, when you put a new hinge, when you use a new hinge, you can damage that stamp, you damage the gum. And the reason is that new hinges suck. I always feel my most crotchety when I'm talking about stamp hinges, because you can't buy a good stamp these days, or a stamp hinge these days. You just can't. They are all the glue that they use is sticky enough that it damages the stamp pages as well as the stamps themselves, and they're very hard to remove. Not very hard, but they're more difficult to remove. And so when I use a stamp hinge in an album, I will buy or use some of my old Denison hinges are the best. You can find them on eBay. And you can use those relatively confident knowing that you're not going to damage your stamps. This is a nice collection. I am really excited to have this because I am going to be diving into my Australian stamps soon. And, oh, cool, ship on stamp! And I'll be using some of these for those types of collections, putting together my topicals. And I'll be using some of these potentially in that collection. And collections like these are oftentimes the best way to get your hands on some of the more common stamps in a pretty cost-efficient way. I'm not seeing as many new stamps back here as I thought I would. So I'm not quite sure what I will do with these used ones. I thought most of the more modern stamps were new, but apparently not. Oh, there we go. That's a cool set of butterflies. Very nice. Nice. Definitely a start of a collection of Australian stamps. And I will use these for that purpose. Oh, very, very cool. One more shout out from the stamp fair. It sure was fun. I ran into a woman who does art. The intersection of art and stamps, and I think that's cool. So this is a cover made out of a map from our area. And it says Railroad Station's first day of issue. So it has a train theme, which I appreciated. Railroad Station's first day of issue. And a delightful trip to the old stamp show. And, you know, what's a silk video without a moral of the story? I may have come out a little bit strongly against the hinges. I had recently uncovered a nice stamp that had the back was just destroyed. Really was a sad sight. And I knew the culprit was a hinge. And maybe I put a little bit too much effort into that intro. Maybe I could have scripted it out a little bit more to make clear that I will continue to use hinges. Lovely, lovely things, stamp hinges. And lovely stamps. God, I love Australian stamps. All right, thank you for spending your time with me again on a Saturday. If you enjoyed it, please like the video and do subscribe to the channel. It means a great deal to me. Until next time.